We are into the 4th week, and welcome to module 4. This is the first video lesson of module 4, and like I mentioned in last week, in the last lesson, module 3, this week, and in this new module we are moving from invoices to receiving payments, and this is the best stuff. We started a business, we created invoices, we were awarded projects, we completed them, we sold products, and now it's time to receive payments. And in this video lesson, I'm going to show you how you handle payments. Sorry. Now let's just dive in. To receive payment, you come right here and you click receive payments. Here you are. Now what the system is asking you is, this payment you're receiving, where are you receiving it from? And so right here sorry, right here you pick the customer, and let's say we're receiving payments from Kelly Limo, and let's say security installation, system installation. So once you click it, what you notice here is we don't have actually open invoice with this customer, and so the balance 0. So let's pick another client. Let's pick Silas Moses, and there you are. Now what you see here is the customer balance, okay, and here we have the amount, and here is the date of payment, and here's the payment method. And QuickBooks has different types of payment methods, and it depends on the one that you want to use, or sorry, the kind of payment method that this client has used. Now you see all the open invoices. We have CCTV camera installation, we have Wi-Fi configuration, and we have this one here that really has no name, and probably this is a all right, let's see. Okay, this one doesn't really have a name. Okay, and this one could be a number of products, actually a combination of product and services that were bought. Okay, so QuickBooks should combine all of them together. Now if we pick another client like let's say John, this is the current open balance, 928. You can enter the amount here, you can enter the date here, and you can pick the payment method. Now let me point out on the payment method the different payment methods. If the customer pays in cash, you pick cash, and then you notice there's a memo here, and here you can indicate cash payment or whatever sorry, or whatever you want to put here to indicate that's a cash payment. And we have check. If the customer pays by check, you can indicate their check payment, and then here you can enter the check number. So these fields here will change depending on the payment method here. If it's a Visa card, then you can enter your memo, credit card number, expiry date, and then the expiry date there. So the different types of payment, it depends on the one that the client has used. So let's go ahead and let's receive payment. So I'm gonna go to, I'll click right here, and let's say we're receiving payment from Silas Moses. Total amount, this is the total amount, 256,840. Now, for the amount here, you enter the actual amount that this client or customer has paid, and it doesn't have to be the total amount. And what happens with QuickBooks is, let's say if this customer pays 200,000, right? So enter 200,000 right there, and you can pick what or which invoice this customer is paying. It could be maybe is paying for the CCTV camera installation. So just pick that payment alone. And if we are picking this payment alone, of course, you know the cost of this is 1,740. So it's not going to be 20,000. So let's say for instance that the customer is paying for this invoice and that invoice. I want to show you something. Let's say the customer pays the total amount for this one is let's see, the total amount is amount due. It's right here. It's that 4,240. Now, let's say that this customer pays the total amount for this selected open invoices. So I'm going to enter that amount. That is that 4,240. All right, that 4,240. And let's say the payment is cash. All right, and here I can type in cash payment if I want to. Sorry, cash payment. All right, now here's what happens. For reference, there's no reference there since this just cash. So to notice down here, and I wanted to point out this because it's very, very important. Overpayment 14,000, sorry, overpayment Kenyan shilling 14,240. When you finish, do you want to leave the credit to be used later or refund the amount to the customer? What the system is saying is this, that just a minute, let's see, this is let's see, what's the total payment here? Let's uncheck this one. Let's uncheck that one. Let's check this one right there. All right, so here we are. So we know that this is the amount due. Right now we are paying 34,240. So what QuickBooks will do is it will recalculate and find out the balance. And so what you have here is underpayment 188,360. So this is the remaining balance. So what QuickBooks wants to know is whether you want to leave this one as underpayment, meaning next time you come over to this invoice, you're gonna find this balance, or it also wants to know whether you want to write off the extra amount. If you write off the extra amount, then it's going to clear this balance, and if you come back here, you're gonna find any balance remaining. So you leave it as an underpayment. That means you come back here again, you're going to find this balance still holding on. So this is very, very important. If you want to write off, like in the case of you write off a debt, you don't want this client to come and clear the remaining balance, then you pick this, and QuickBooks is going to offset everything, right? So click right there. You can see the amount due, that is your total, and the amount that has been applied, the amount this client is paying. Now let's change this one. Let's make this one 100,000. All right, there, that's 10,000. We want 100,000. There you go. So again, QuickBooks will recalculate and let's see 100,000. Let's check. That's the payment that's being done, so 100,000. Again, it will recalculate and check for you the balance. So you're gonna have this one as cash payment. This customer has paid only for this invoice. The rest, they have not been paid. So you have to be very careful when it comes to the payment received. Make sure you don't check everything. Okay, you cannot apply an amount greater than the total payment plus an existing credit. So make sure that when you come to this point, you don't check everything. If the customer is not paying for all the invoices, make sure that all the invoices are not checked. In fact, sometimes a customer can decide, I want to pay small amount for CCTV camera installation, and then I want to pay another small amount for Wi-Fi configuration. Now, in such a case, you want to apply each amount to each invoice depending on what the customer decides to pay. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to check this. Let's say the customer pays 100,000, but he wants that amount to be distributed to CCTV camera installation service and Wi-Fi configuration. So how do you do that? I'm going to come here and pick that invoice there, and then I'm going to enter the amount right here. So let's say for this service the customer is paying okay, let's distribute them between this one and this one. Okay, so let's say this customer is paying for this Wi-Fi configuration service and for this other bundled up invoice, and the customer pays 100, and he wants the money to be distributed such that for this Wi-Fi configuration 30k goes here and the other 70k goes here. So you want to distribute that amount accordingly, the 100,000 accordingly, so that you have your books of account in sync with the customer's books of account. So what we do here is you come here on the payment and you enter the amount here. So let's say for Wi-Fi configuration, the customer says, I want to pay that K for that. So out of the 100,000, this amount that I have paid, 30,000 goes to Wi-Fi configuration. So come right here and enter the amount, 30,000, and the other 70,000 comes here. So I'm gonna come here and enter 70,000. Let's see. There you go. So the customer is paying 100,000, but 30,000 is going to Wi-Fi configuration, and the other remaining amount is going to this bundled up invoice. So you have to make sure that you distribute the money accordingly depending on what the customer chooses to pay. So be very careful on the amount that you enter here. If a customer pays for several services or several open invoices with one check or with some cash, and he wants that money to be distributed among those invoices, make sure you do it correctly here, right? And also make sure that you check only those open invoices that the customer is paying for. So in this case, we can now apply our payment there, and what you notice is amount due. This is the total amount due, which is actually this invoice plus this invoice, which you total to this amount applied. This is the amount the customer has paid, and it has been distributed among these two invoices, leaving the other one open. So that is how you do it. Now we'll leave this one as an underpayment because the customer still owes us 155,100. So I can click save and close, and I will receive that payment, and it will close this payment receipt. So we click save and close, and there you go, that is done. Let's go there again and let's see now whether the system will hold the balance. So we go to receive payment. We were focused on Cyrus. Let's go back to Silas. Here we are, and let's see what we have here. Notice now, for this payment or for this invoice, we paid 30K, and so what we have here is now the remaining balance, which is 2,500. For this one, initially this was the amount, the original amount, and we paid 100,000, 70,000, and this is the total balance that remained. So what happens to QuickBooks is it will be able to track how you distributed the payment among different invoices, and then to be able to give you the correct balance, right? So now at this point we can choose to, the customer can pay for this. So pick, if you do not enter the amount, so the first thing is to enter the amount here. Now if you pick, and this is important, if you pick any, you check any invoice here without entering the amount here, QuickBooks will assume that the customer is paying for the total amount due. That's how you have this message. If you do not enter the amount received right here, QuickBooks automatically calculate the amount as you select each invoice in the table. This automatic calculation is a company preference. Click yes to continue automatically calculating amounts, or click no to turn this preference off. So just click yes, and I can come and change here. Let's say this customer pays 1,000, so you can just come and make that on 1,000, and that's it, right? So it will check what invoice that is being paid, the total or the original amount, the amount paid, and then it will show the balance right here. And that is how you receive your payment. Now let's apply the total amount. So in this case, the customer paid the total amount, that should be 1,740. There you go. And this one goes away because we are clearing for that specific invoice. Now, like I said, the different kinds of payments here, and you can pick any. If the customer has paid by check, you can pick check, and then you enter the check number here. So let's say this check number 001. Okay, assuming that's the check number. And then here for the memo, you can indicate payment, check payment. Sorry, check payment. Now, always remember, you don't have to put anything here in the memo. Okay, it's not a must. Even if you leave it blank, it's still okay. So that is it. That's how you make, or rather that's how you receive your payments. Now I can click save and close. Now something else I want to point out here, you can also attach this bill. Let's say that you scan this bill when, let's say you want to attach something to this payment, maybe this customer's bill, you want to attach it here. You can click attach. You'll be required to first save this one before you attach anything. So if I click do you want to record, I say yes. Once I record, I can now pick, let me cancel this, I can now pick anything I want to attach to this payment. And let's say I scanned the bill for this customer, so I want to attach it to the payment. Just go and click attach, and then I can click here to pick an attachment from the system. Let's see whether QuickBooks should do that. Click computer, and I can pick anything here that I want to attach. Let's see whether we have any scanned document here. Just using this one as example. If you had scanned the bill, of course you can pick it from your system, but since we haven't scanned the bill for this customer, so I'm gonna pick one of my documents. So double click scan, double click welcomes. Not sure what that is, but let's see whether it will be loaded here. And it's actually right there. If I click done, it should be attached right here. Attachment successful. To view attachment document, just click on the attach button of the record you attached them to, and then I click OK. So you can attach a document to any payment here. If I double click this one, let's see whether I can see it. I'll click it so that I can open it, and there you are. So you can see your attachment. So you can attach a scanned copy of a given bill to any payment you receive from your customer by using this attach icon. So that's how you do it. And then from there I click save and close. If I want to receive another payment, I can click save new. You click save new, it will save this, and then it will allow you to receive another payment. Now let's do one more payment. Good to receive one more payment. I will point out something, and then I will let you receive payment from other invoices that we created. So go to receive payment, and then I'll come right here. I will pick the customer, and we have all these open invoices. Now let me point out something when it comes to payment method. With different payment method here, with cash, check, American Express, Discover, MasterCard, Visa card, debit card, gift card. You can create your own payment method here. And let's see whether we can create ours and how it will work. I'm going to create an M-Pesa payment. Let's see how this one works. So go to new, and I'm going to call it M-Pesa payment. M-Pesa payment type. Let's see which one will fit in here. We just call it other because it doesn't lie in any of these, so just call it other, and then I'll click OK. And so you're good to have a new payment method here. If I click here, M-Pesa will always be there. Okay, so you can add your own payment method. So let's say this customer paid by M-Pesa, and specifically the customer was paying for kitchen remodeling. So I'm gonna enter amount here. The amount for kitchen remodeling is 64,616. So let's say the customer paid 50,000 via M-Pesa. So I'm gonna enter 50,000, and then I'll come right here. For the reference, I'm gonna enter the M-Pesa reference code, okay, for the payment. Now I can ignore this card number because this is M-Pesa payment. I can just enter the code for the M-Pesa transaction. So let's just enter a code, something like F, something like O F M 65 ID 6 0. That is the M-Pesa payment code. Okay, and then on the memo I can just indicate M-Pesa payment. So I can write M-Pesa payment. That's it. Now for this date, be sure it's the exact date, or be sure you pick the exact date this payment occurred, right? If you're recording this payment today and it occurred yesterday, then you need to make sure you pick the yesterday's date here, right? Just pick the date. So that means even though we are recording this payment today, the payment was meant yesterday. So make sure you enter the right date here. So in our case, let's just pick today's date. And there you go. So that is it. I can now choose what invoice this customer is paying. In this case, kitchen remodeling. Okay, the amount will be applied. This is the amount, and this is the amount due, and this is the total remaining balance. And that is exactly how you receive payment. So I'm going to save and close, and then I want you now to practice receiving payment. First of all, I want you to follow through on what you've done. Receive those exact payment that we have received. And then after that, I want you to go ahead and for the remaining invoices, I want you to receive payments. You can receive payments partially, like what you're doing here. We've just received partial payment of 50,000 with 14,616 as a balance. So you can receive partial payment, or you can receive the entire payment. So I want you to practice receiving payments. Now, before we close this, I want to point out something. This question here. Where does this payment go to? And that could be probably the question that you're asking. Where does this payment go to? I'm going to take you back to something that we covered when we are setting up company preferences. And we set up our system such that any amount of payment we receive, it will go directly to undeposited funds. And that is where this money we are receiving will go to. If you do remember, we checked that checkbox on the company preferences and we said any amount we are receiving, it should go to undeposited funds. And that's where this money is going. So I'll close this one, and then we are going to go to company preferences. We are going to uncheck that, and then we'll come back and make one more. We'll receive one more payment, and then let's see what is going to change here. Currently, this money is going to undeposited funds because we set that preference when we are customizing our company preference. So let's receive this, save and close. All right, now let's go back to company preference and let's uncheck that preference. So we go to edit. If you do remember, come to preference, and that happened right here, payments, company preference. Now let me point out something before I even show you that. Of course, we know this is where we activated that. On payments, use undeposited funds as a default deposit to account. So any money that you receive goes to undeposited funds. Now let me point out something here. Do you notice this message? It says not allowed in multi-user mode. To change most company preference, you must switch to single user mode. If you switch to single user mode now, no other user may use the file until you switch back to multi-user mode or close the company file. Now, do you remember something that we covered when I showed you how to switch from multi-user mode to single user mode? One of the things we pointed out is the importance of single user mode. There are certain operations that you cannot run unless your QuickBooks system is operating in single user mode. Our current settings such that QuickBooks is operating in multi-user mode, you can see here, and we cannot perform this action we cannot deactivate or we cannot turn off this feature of undeposited funds unless or until we switch back to single user mode. So there are certain operations, like I pointed back then, that QuickBooks cannot run unless it's operating in single user mode. So here we're going to click OK, and you notice that we can now uncheck this one. So let's uncheck this checkbox, and it will not work until we switch back to single user mode. So we click OK, and we just have to cancel this. Then let's come back here to File, and then let's switch mode. We have to switch back to single user mode to be able to uncheck the undeposited funds as a default payment. Switch to user mode, and then you give it some time to switch from multi-user to single user mode. Give it a few minutes. Once you switch back to, alright, you can now use this file in single user mode. So click OK, and there you are. Then let's close this window. I have to close this. Sorry, let's maximize this. There you are. So now let's do what we wanted to do. So we're going back to preference. We want to turn off the feature of undeposited funds as the default account for any payment that you receive. So let's go to Edit, Preference, and we go to Payment, Company Preference, and let's deactivate this one. And now we can do it because we are operating in single user mode. So let's click OK. Our QuickBooks must close all its open windows to change this preference. Let's agree with QuickBooks. And there you go. Now let's all right, so what we're going to do right now is I'm gonna have to close this. All right, say yes. Then I'm going to load QuickBooks again. Let's give it time to shut down. So we're going to load QuickBooks again, and then once we load it, we're going to receive another payment. And now that we have deactivated or turned off the undeposited funds as the default account for any received payment, we want to see the changes that are going to happen on our receive payment screen. Let's give it some time. So I believe that you're able to notice the different features that we turned on and how they work, why you need to turn on the multi-user mode or why you need to use the single user mode, depending on what operations you're going to run in your system. Some operations will require single user mode and others will require multi-user mode. And always remember that in single user mode, no one else can access QuickBooks files except you. So let's go back, let's activate, let's launch QuickBooks. And what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna receive another payment with, all right, I don't have a password for my admin account. I'm gonna click OK. All right, let's give it some time. So we're going to receive some payments, and then let's see whether the receive payment screen will change. Always click no to this message. We have to close this window, so click close, and then I'm going to maximize this window right there. Right, so here we are. So let's receive another payment. Receive payment, and what do you notice? Notice some changes here. we have a new changes on the screen. We now have deposit to initially. This one was not there. Why? Because by default we had set QuickBooks to always deposit any amount that you receive to the undeposited funds. Now that that feature is off, then we have to tell QuickBooks where to deposit any amount that we receive. So let's go ahead and receive some payment from Kelly Limo. Now open invoices at Kelly Limo. Let's go ahead and receive from Mike. There we are. So the difference you see here is on this section right here. Now you have to tell QuickBooks where to deposit the amount. Now that it should not deposit this amount by default to undeposited funds, you have now to click here and pick where you want that money to be deposited. Of course, you want that money to go to undeposited funds. So click on deposited funds, and then we pick payment method here. This is gonna be cash, not M-Pesa. And then let's enter the amount. Let's say let's clear this. This is kitchen remodeling. Let's clear the remaining balance for the kitchen remodeling. So that's going to be 14,616. 14,616. So that's the amount, and we are actually clearing that, right? So it's being cleared. This customer has discount available. To apply discounts, click discount and credit. Now remember how we gave special terms to this customer, where we had terms and you said if the customer pays for a given invoice within a given period of time before the due date, they're going to give the customer some discounts. That's now what is being communicated here, that this customer has discount available. So how do we apply the discounts? You come right here, discounts and credit, and you can see the special terms he had. The terms were 2%, 10, net, 30, which basically means the due date for that invoice that you created was 30 days. But if the customer pays within 10 days, then the customer should within 10 days of receiving the invoice, then the customer should receive a 2% discount. And you can see that right here. So you have terms, and then you have the terms indicated here. And what's the total discount? This is the total discount, right? So if you have special terms with your customers and they honor those terms, QuickBooks will automatically apply those terms and give the set amount of discount to that client. So let's give this client a discount. Discount class. Now this is kitchen remodeling. All right, so discount class will basically be the discount class will be construction, right? And then you can pick the discount account, and then you click done. So for now, let's cancel this, and we shall come back here again. What I wanted to point out is this section here. When you deactivate or turn off the undeposited funds as a default account for any money you receive, then QuickBooks will activate this section here, and then you'll have to tell QuickBooks where to deposit that amount. So we're not going to complete this payment. We're going to actually clear, and we're going to close this. So there you go. That is how you receive your payment, and that is how those features that you turned on and off, that is how they work. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to receive several payments. Okay, I want you to receive several payments, and Practice and make sure you get good at it. For now, what I want you to do is I want you to first follow along on what you've done, practice on what you've done, and then after that, I want you to receive several payments, like 5 payments from your customer. Try to turn on the posted funds and try to turn it off and see the difference. I also want you to create a new payment method in your payments. It could be M-Pesa or any other payment method, and see how that one works. Then I'll see you in the next lesson as we wind up with receiving payments. I want to show you how to record payments, how to transfer the money you have received from undeposited funds and transfer that money to your bank account. I'm going to show you one more thing on receiving payments, and then after that we'll be through with how to receive payments. So for now, practice what we've done and receive several, actually almost, yeah, receive like 5 payments from your customers. And I'll see you in the next lesson as we dive into how to transfer your funds from undeposited funds into your banking or bank account. Plus, I'll show you one more thing when it comes to receiving your payments. Until then, make sure you get good at what you've covered in this lesson. I'll see you in the next